Alrighty, welcome everybody. It is Tuesday night and I hope you guys are ready to do some stamping. I've got 3 really cool cards that I'm going to be doing tonight. For those of you that are new to my page, my name is Julie Brown. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and welcome. I am so happy to have you guys here. So I'm going to take care of some housekeeping really quick. First thing is, if you are on live with me on Facebook, you can type in, let me know you're here. You can put your name in. And you can ask any questions that you have while I'm doing this. I do look up once in a while to see what questions are coming up. A lot of times my ladies all get together and kind of start having their own conversation. That's fine as well. But I do try to keep track and see if there's any comments or questions on anything that I am doing. If you are watching this on YouTube, it is a replay because as soon as I'm done here tonight, I upload this to YouTube. But again, you can still make comments, and as soon as you make a comment, I will see it on my end. So either way, I can answer any comments or any questions that you guys might have. Hey Brenda, so glad you're here tonight. So let's just take care of some housekeeping here really quick. So this is the August hostess code. So if you are planning on placing an order with me, please write down that hostess code because you will need to have that if your order is below $150. You can order through me at juliebrown.stampinup.net. If you'd like to just reach out to me and have some questions, you can email me at juliescreativestampin@gmail.com. And then I have a Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram at Julie's Creative Stamping. My YouTube channel, you have to type in Julie Brown and then a dot and then Julie's Creative Stamping. And then you'll notice I have my blog updated. My blog, actually it still is Stampin' Julie Brown at blogspot.com, but I am in a 8-week intensive course, and it eventually will be under juliescreativestamping.com. But if you do want to look at what's on my blog now, it is the old one, which is Stampin' without the G, juliebrown.blogspot.com. So if you pull up Julie's Creative Stamping, it's just a sample page that's up there now. But eventually I will get everything on there, and it should be much more interactive for you guys. So I'm pretty excited about that. So let's talk about what we're going to be working with tonight. So tonight we are going to be, the main feature is the stylish sketches. And the reason I decided to do this tonight was I had a lot of my customers, this is one of the free celebration stamp sets that you can get. And I've had a lot of customers saying, I don't really know what I would use this for. So I'm going to show you 3 cards tonight where this is kind of, I am using all of this, but I am combining them with the Hello Harvest that I did last week and the Christmas Barn that you guys haven't seen me do yet. This is another really fun bundle. Of course, it has the stamp set and the dies, which are great. And so you're going to get to see these at work tonight, along with the Hello Harvest. So I'm going to do 2 with the Christmas Barn, and I'm going to do 1 with the Hello Harvest. So let's get started so we can get through all 3 of these cards. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. And what I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to just take a piece of basic white, and I am going to be stamping on this with this stamp from the Stylish Sketches. Oh, let me get my other lights going. It looks a little dark. Sorry. Sometimes I always forget to put my side lights up so that you guys can actually see. Hey, Mel. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this stamp, and I'm going to kind of, again, create my own background paper. And so I'm going to just take this. Sorry, I'm trying to get some stuff out of my way here. And I'm just going to start stamping on this piece of basic white. Now, I will be coloring this in, but I actually colored it in ahead of time. But I just wanted to show you how I have no rhyme or reason for how I stamp this. I just kind of, you'll see I'll turn it one way and then I'll turn it the other way. And yeah, and you know, and so I really don't have like a set method for how I stamp this on here. And then I just kind of want to bring it in on the side. All right. So that is how you would start this, by just stamping in black memento ink. And then what I did, I'm just going to clean this stamp real quick. Then what I did is, I know you guys are so used to watching me color with blends, because I love the blends, and I always kind of forget about our beautiful Stampin' Right markers. And so what I did is I just colored that in. So are you guys ready for the magic? Ta-da! All right, so I did this earlier so you guys didn't have to sit and watch me do this. And so I used my Stampin' Right markers, and I just colored in, and you'll see I just used different colors on the leaves. And yeah, and just did that in. So to finish this off, what I did was, this is another one of those stamps, and this is one of those stamps that a lot of people never know what to do with, because it just, it's just a bunch of speckles, right? And so what I did with this is I just brought in some early espresso ink, and I just kind of came in between where I had stamped the flowers, and I just added some of these speckles. Again, I think sometimes these like little stamp sets that are just kind of stuck in there, we forget to use them, you know, and they are part of the stamp set, and so we kind of need to get into the habit of you know, finding a way to use them. All right, so then it's going to look like that. See how that just kind of adds a little bit of oomph to this card by just taking those speckles and putting it in between all of what we've already stamped and colored. So let me clean that off. This one is a pretty simple one. A lot of these cards tonight, I did pre-prep a lot of the stuff just because I'm trying to get 3 of them done, and I want to make sure that I have time to do that. So then what I did is I brought in, oh, let me show you this too. So I also did it on the, this is going to go on the inside of the card. So again, oh, and I forgot I was going to do that too. Sorry. Let me finish that. So on the inside of the card, again, I stamped it, colored it in with the markers, Stampin' Right markers. And then I'm just going to come in here, and we're going to add a little bit of the speckle there and a little bit of the speckle there. Again, I just think the speckles add just a little bit of extra oomph to the card. And those are just some of the stamps that we sometimes overlook when we're looking at the stamp set. Now again, this stamp set doesn't have any sentiments, so that was one of the reasons why I brought in the other 2 stamp sets that we're going to be using. But see, here's that speckled, and then this is the leaf one that I just used, and we're going to be using these 2 in just a little bit. All right, so let me move that out of the way. So then I decided to use some of the Early Espresso Faux Suede trim, and if you touch this, it feels like suede. It's pretty cool. I like this ribbon a lot. So I'm just going to run a strip here and a strip here. And then I'm just going to take this ribbon and we're just going to wrap it around the edges. So I hope everybody's had a good week. My week's been a little crazy, but you know what? I say that every time, and it's just because my life is crazy, right? I don't know how to make my life not crazy. But my grandkids are fixing to go back to school here pretty soon. I think I want it this way. I'm just trying to look at which way I want it. That's going to free up my days quite a bit because I watch my grandkids. So, all right. Okay, so now we're just going to take our Stampin' Seal Plus and we're just going to put some more adhesive here. And again, if you're new to my site, you guys can type in, let me know you're here, and if you have any questions, just type in your questions. Alrighty. So then I'm just going to stick that on there like so. Then this is where I use the Harvest Hello, so I'm just going to remind you of that set. So I basically just stamped that on a piece of white, And then I did color this in with the blends. And then I cut it out with, there's a die that goes with this bundle. It's the rustic pumpkin dies. And so it has this. And the reason I'm kind of showing you the bundles tonight is because, as you know, this Stylish Sketches is a celebration item. And for those of you that don't know what celebration is, we have a small period, a small window where we have what's called celebration. And that means that when you, so let me pull this up. So Stylish Sketches is actually, you can't even buy this set. The only way you can get it is if you make a purchase of at least $50, then it is one of the free stamp sets that you can choose to get with your purchase of $50. So yeah, so this isn't even, you can't even buy this stamp set. There's no way to buy it. You have to make the purchase, and then it's something that comes free. And so celebration is going on right now, and there's a lot of different ones available. But again, I chose to do this one tonight because I have a lot of people saying, I really don't know how to use that stamp set. So for those of you that went ahead and got it as your free item, but you weren't sure how to use it, hopefully I can give you some great ideas tonight on how to use that. All right. And the reason I'm showing you the bundles is because if you decide you want this free stamp set, I'm giving you some ideas of what to purchase to go along with it. All right, so then I'm going to take this pumpkin and I'm going to stick that right there. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap white, and I'm going to bring in Mossy Meadow ink. And then I am using the Thanks. This is actually coming from the Artistically Inked set. See this Thanks right here? It's one of my favorite Thanks. So I actually use this a lot. And so I'm going to ink this up, and this is going to look black, you guys, because I literally just like a couple weeks ago re-inked this, and it's really dark. But when it dries, you can tell that it's green and not black. But I know in your screen, I'm sure it's looking black. So we're going to just do that. And then we're going to do what we call, you guys may hear in the stamping lingo, people talk about fussy cutting. So that's what we're going to do now. And fussy cutting basically just means is you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to kind of leave a little white edge around your image. And whether it's, you know, you're going to see me fussy cut out the fox and the ducks a little later, but it just means that you're going to leave a white edge. And we call it fussy cutting because it's not exact. Which, if any of you guys that know me and know how much I don't like cutting, I am so happy when I don't have to cut things exact, because I'm just not that good at cutting. So some people can cut like right on the outside of the line and make it look really good. That is not me. All right, so again, just fussy cut that out. And then we're just going to take this and bring in some of our liquid glue. And I'm just going to put a few little dots. I don't want to be real heavy-handed with the glue here because I don't want it to smush out from behind. And we're going to pick this up, and we're just going to add that Thanks right to that pumpkin right there. Okay, so the little Thanks is there. And then for the inside, I kind of showed you part of the inside. So again, I did stamp and color it with, and I don't want you guys to get confused. So this whole design that I stamped and colored was with Stampin' Right markers. And the markers look like this. These are our markers. And then we have what's called blends. And these are alcohol based. Now the thing about the blends is that they bleed through the back. So if I had done this with blends, you would see all the color bleeding through. But with the markers, they do not bleed through. All right, so then I'm going to come in with one of the sentiments. This sentiment is from the Hello Harvest, and it says, "You are such a blessing." And again, I'm going to come back in with that Mossy Meadow ink. And I like having this grid paper, which, by the way, Stampin' Up does sell this. But I like having the grid paper because it helps me to line up what I'm stamping on so that it's nice and straight. And it helps me to get a straighter stamp when I can make sure that the piece of paper that so basically I look at these lines, I line it up like so it's nice and straight, and then I do my stamping. So that's just kind of a little tip for you guys. Now, I'm not adding any embellishments to this one, but you definitely could. But I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't think I need embellishments because I really feel like these flowers really make this card pop. And by putting this in here, I don't think it needs anything else. You guys might disagree, and that's fine. If you do, type in a comment and say, yeah, you know, it would be nice if you added, you know, this or that. Not that I will do that tonight, but, you know, I think sometimes we can keep things pretty simple and still make some beautiful cards. And this one is definitely one of the simple ones. The next two are not as simple because I'm using some dies. All right, so finished card. What do you guys think? So do you like? Yes, no? So there we go there. And there's the inside. So ta-da! So card 1 done. And again, remember, this is the free stamp set that you can get for free with a $50 purchase. So everything that I do is going to have one of these images on it tonight. Okay, card 1 done. Now card 2 is a little bit more complicated. So I want to show you a couple of things that I did ahead of time. So this is also one of the free items that you can get for, here, let me move it off of this just so you can see it better. So this is called the Silver and Gold Specialty Paper. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys like it. So this is also a free $50 item, but I'm going to show you, this has like gold metallic on it. But what I did for this particular card was I needed it to have some color on it. So I'm just going to use Evening Evergreen, and I'm going to show you how I did it. But I have already, the ones that I'm using on the card I've done ahead of time because I needed to cut them out with the layering diorama dies. And so basically to do this, you just take a blending brush, you start off the page, and you just come onto the page. And what will happen is it just adds color. So what's really cool about, again, this is one of the free items that you can pick if you spend $50. You get, for every $50 that you spend, you get a free item. So let's say I spent $100, I could get that Stylish Sketches stamp set and this paper. So it's not just like spend 50 and you get to pick one. It's for every $50. And then we also have a few things that are what we call $100 or level 2 items. So if you spend $100, you can choose, I'm either going to pick two $50 items or I'm going to pick a $100 item. So that's how Celebration works. So what do you guys think of this technique? Is this a fun technique to add some color? And again, it's just taking your blending brushes and your ink, and then look at that. So now I have turned the white background into a fun kind of ombre look. All right, now the other thing that I want to do with this one, and I'll bring this back in later to show you, is I'm also going to take this white strip and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in with this blending brush and I am going to make white turn into Evening Evergreen. And you'll see what, I'll bring this back in and do something fun with this in just a second. But since I already had the blending brush and the ink out, I thought I would do it now. All right, so that's done. Okay. So then what I did is I brought in our layering diorama dies, and if you guys don't know what those are, this is what they look like. Also, the way that I number mine, so if you ever watch any of my instructions or see any of my instructions, if I say I'm using like the number 1 die, I start from the smallest and I go out. So I number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you're ever looking at my written instructions, you guys will know, like based on the number, which die it is. Okay, so I'm going to bring in, and again, I did a lot of this stuff ahead of time. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to do was, this is a little silo. It's one of the dies that you can cut out with that Christmas barn. And I'm gonna bring in some Cajun Craze, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did with that paper and this white strip. Is I'm just gonna bring in Cajun Craze, and I'm just going to add some color to this silo. And the cool thing is because this particular die actually like embosses when it cuts it out. And I'll bring it closer so you can see. So see that? So it embosses it. And I don't know if you can see down at the bottom, there's like the little door that you would go in on the silo. I don't know if it's gonna, it's trying to focus more on my fingers. Okay, but so by adding color, it actually makes all of that embossed feature stick out a little bit more. All right, and then what I'm gonna do with our little, so let me set this to the side. So then what I'm gonna do is we've got our little ducks here, and I wanted these ducks to look kind of like, you know, more wild ducks. And so I'm just gonna come in and make this one look more like a mallard. And I'm just coming in with I think this is dark soft succulent. So we're bringing that in there. And then I'm gonna come in with, these are those, there are deep, this is a deep neutral blend. And so this is the SU 100. It's in, when you look these up, it's the deep neutral blends. And so I'm gonna come in here, and we're gonna color in his wing right here. This also you could kind of, it's really close to the early espresso. And then I'm gonna do his little right there. Then I am gonna come in with the light smoky slate, and we're gonna color in the rest of his body. And I think this just kind of makes them, you know, pop. But I'm going to show you the difference when I get done with this. Remember how I told you the Stampin' Up markers do not bleed when you're coloring, and you'll see what these do in just a second. Now I could have come in with the darker smoky slate and filled in kind of where the stamp, I don't know if you guys can see it, but the stamp already has like some, see how it's got some of the dark images, and you could come in with your darker smoky slate and enhance those a little bit more, but I really didn't feel like I needed to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with the light pumpkin pie, and we're going to do their beaks and their feet. All right, and then just like I did with the thanks from the last card, we're gonna do some fussy cutting. And so again, I just want to leave a white edge. So how many of you on here kind of looked at this stamp set and thought, Guy, I really don't know what I would do with that, when you guys saw it in the celebration catalog? I'd like to know how many of you were like, yeah, you know, I wasn't sure, one, if I liked it, and two, if it was something that I could figure out how to use. Because like I said, I've heard from several of the ladies who attend my in-person classes that they love the animals and the way that they stamp, but they just weren't sure how to use this set. So, okay, Mel, good. I'm glad. Yeah. So I kind of figured that's what was, so I've kind of figured if my ladies in my class were feeling that way, that some of you that watch me online are feeling the same way. Okay. So now we've got them colored in. How cute are they? All right. So now let's bring in our card base, which is going to be white. And I think I forgot to do the inside of this one. Oh, one more thing. So this was this is one of the stamp sets that's in, maybe I should leave this close so you guys can see. So I'm using this stamp set along with this stamp set. Okay, so it has this little wreath here. And so what I want to do with this is I want to bring in my light cherry cobbler, and I want to color in the bow that's on this. And then we're going to bring in our die cut machine, because there's a die for this in this set, and we're going to cut this out. And then for the center, I'm going to bring in my dark cherry cobbler. And I pre-stamped this with Evening Evergreen. Oh, I told you guys I was going to show you. So see how when you use blends that it leaks through. All right, so let's pull in. I'm going to have to move all of this so I can get the die cut machine. This has a lot, this barn dies has, it cuts out the barn, it cuts out the wreath, it cuts out a lot of the sentiments. It cuts out the tree, it cuts out a fence. Yeah, really, really cool die set that goes with this. But let's pull my die cut, and then unfortunately I've got my big one sitting here tonight. So that's the one I'm using. I could use the mini one for this. Oh yay, Brenda, you've made one card with it? Oh good, I'm glad. Yeah, I love animals, so this was actually one of my favorite celebration. I like anything to do with nature. Ah, that moved. I'm having a hard time seeing if I've got that straight, so hopefully I've got it straight. Alrighty. Then we're just gonna stick this on here, and excuse my plates. My plates get really well used because I do have in-person classes. I'm actually having them this week, so I'm having a class Thursday morning at 10 and Thursday night at 5, and then I have a Saturday at 10. So my die cut machines and my plates they're well used. Most of yours would not look like this because you don't use them like I do. Okay. Alrighty. So we are going to fold this. And then what I'm going to do with this first is I am going to bring in, this is the tree from, again, this stamp set. So it's this tree right here. And I am going to come in with Evening Evergreen. And we are going to stamp a few trees on here. Okay, so I'm going to stamp one kind of high right there. And then we're going to get one a little bit lower right next to it. And then I'm going to kind of go over here to the left. And we're going to put a couple over here. Just like that. And let me clean that off. Then what we're going to do is I pre-did this. Whoa. And so I don't know if you guys can see, but this is the barn, and I also added these snowflake accents. And I didn't want to do it on screen with you guys because it can get kind of messy and mess up like where I'm working. So can you see how I added those? So basically you just kind of put the little drops on here and then you heat it up with a heat tool if you've never seen this done before. And so I went ahead and did that. And so I'm gonna go ahead, and again, you can see I use my blends because you can see it through on this side. And so I'm gonna come in with some liquid glue. And then we're gonna take this, and we want this, I wanna try to make sure, this one is a little hard to line up because this bottom section, you tend to wanna try to line this up first. And when you do that, you sometimes get your barn in there a little bit cockeyed. So always kind of pay attention to your barn because this is supposed to kind of be at an angle. And then I'm just gonna hold that down a bit. Oh, I shouldn't have put that down because I need that silo underneath there. Hopefully I'll have enough time to wiggle that up underneath there. So then I want to come in with our little silo. Whoopsie. And now let me see if I can get this to come up. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and then I want that silo to be kind of like right there. Now I can push this back down. Luckily with the liquid glue, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room so you can move it around. So then what I did was, so here is that paper that you can see I did one in Cherry Cobbler, I did one in Evening Evergreen, and I just showed you guys how to do that. And then I used the layering diorama dies to cut these two pieces out. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this green one and I'm going to use some liquid glue. Another reason I'm using these layering diorama dies is, again, I had some ladies that I had done some cards that they really fell in love with and they ended up buying it. And then they haven't really used it since then. And so, you know, part of what I like to do for you guys is, especially if you've bought something, is to make sure that you're using it. So to try to give you guys ideas on how to, you know, different ideas on how to use these dies. Okay, so that's gonna lay down like so. And then this red one, I'm just kind of placing it because you'll see that I'm going to kind of show you guys this. You guys will see that as you turn this, it shows like a different amount of green. And so you want to turn it so that you're happy with the amount of green that's showing through. So I think I like this way better. So now this one's a little tedious. Now I'm going to bring in some dimensionals. I probably should have put these dimensionals on first because this, anytime that I'm using like the diorama dies, I do use a lot of dimensionals just because I really want that three-dimensional look. And the best way I know to do that is to make sure that I'm getting plenty of dimensionals on here. And so in Stampin' Up lingo, these are called dimensionals, and it pops things up. Some of you might, I think that when I used to scrapbook, we used to call them pop dots. And so, yeah, so if any of you have any other names that you know this by, let me know, like type that on in there. Because like I said, I've heard these called so many different things, but because Stampin' Up sells them as Stampin' Dimensionals, that's what you're going to hear me say most of the time. So yeah, so I've heard them. I think really Pop Dots is the only other, but you know, I heard someone call them something else not too long ago, and I wish I could remember what they called it, but I can't. And so when you get to these areas like here where it's not you don't quite have enough room to do the big ones, I'm just going to bring in my snips and I'm going to snip these edges over here That way I can bring that in like so. All right, so now let me just pull all of these off. And this is, by the way, I'm using this is our Take Your Pick tool. It's a pretty cool little tool. It has putty on this end to help you pick up small objects like embellishments. And then it has this pokey tool on this end, but then it also has a spatula. It also has another attachment that has a stylus with 2 different size balls on the ends of the stylus. It also has a brush that fits in here so that when you're die cutting, you can run it through to get all of the extra little pieces of paper out of your die cuts. So it's a pretty handy tool. And I'm always wondering if Stampin' Up! Is going to have other little gadgets. I feel like Inspector Gadget, right, with this thing. This is my Inspector Gadget tool. All right, so now I forget which side. I think that was how I wanted it. Okay, so this one's a little trickier because you want to get it lined up with this edge. And I try not to stick it down real tight until I make sure it like fits and it's covering that edge. All right, so there we go. I think I'm gonna move this for just a second. All right, so then that's what we've got so far. So can you see how it popped that up? So way cool. All right, and then this little wreath, before I lose it, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in some liquid glue, and we are going to add that to the front of the barn, like so. And then, excuse me one second, I gotta grab some paper because I forgot to do the inside of this card. So you guys are gonna get to watch me do that in just a hot second. All right, so we've got that down. Okay, so now remember that little piece that I used the blending brush? So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to use, this says Merry Christmas to you and yours, and I'm going to come in with some black Memento ink. And we're going to ink this up. And we're gonna just stamp that. Now this has a die that actually cuts this out, so I'm gonna grab that die and bring back in that die cut machine so that I can show you how, but I think I'll go ahead and get it placed here and get it kind of taped down before I do that. So this is the die from the, what are the dies called? Barn dies. And they go along with the Christmas barn set. So this is the Christmas barn bundle that I'm using to work with the stylus sketches. And again, this is a bundle that you could purchase and get close to your $50, what you need to get the stylish sketches for free, or even that beautiful paper for free. And then maybe add, like, you might have to add some dimensionals or something to your order to get you to 50, because it has to be $50 before tax, just so everybody knows. Okay, so this is the bundle that I am using. Let me get that out of the way. Okay, so we're just going to bring that in with our die cut machine, and we're just going to run that through the die cut machine. So I'm hoping to show you guys a couple of things, you know, some ideas with the layering diorama dies, some ideas with the snowflake, snowfall accents to make that look like snow on there. Yeah, you know, I'm trying to give you guys a bunch of ideas of how to use these products that some of you have bought and is still sitting on your shelf and you're looking at it, not knowing what to do. All right. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of like play with this a little bit because I want this to kind of go up here. And I have to kind of decide, do I want it down here? I think I want it to kind of be up in this corner up here. I mean, I could also bring it down here. I'm trying to decide. What do you guys think? Do you like top or bottom? Well, understand we're going to be bringing the geese in, so I guess I better put it at the top. So I guess I answered my own question. So now I'm looking at this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, again, these are our mini dimensionals, and the reason I like these is because they have these edges that you can cut really, this outside edge once you use all of the dimensionals in the middle. It helps you cut really thin pieces, which is perfect for this piece right here. So yeah, never forget that you can use every little bit of your dimensionals. Okay, and again, I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here. So we're gonna pull that off. Oopsies. Pull this off. All right. And then we're just gonna stick this. It's gotta be high enough to catch the glue that I just put on there. Get it straight. All right, so that's gonna go like so. Then we're gonna bring in these cute, adorable little ducks, and we're gonna sit them on this little corner right here. And again, I'm gonna need a little dimensional right here. So probably I want a mini dimensional. I always have to turn it back over and look because sometimes when I set it down, I forget like where I needed to put glue. And then I just kind of need glue on the outside edge. So we're gonna take this paper off of this. Then we're gonna flip our little ducks over. And they're just gonna sit right like that. And then they've got these really cute little fence posts. And so I'm trying to decide, do I want the fence post up? And so I thought I would go ahead and add this fence post here. Now I could have done the adhesive sheet on the back of this, but I decided not to. I am gonna bring in one of my silicone mats so I don't get glue everywhere. Only because I have some area where it's gonna kind of be, so I'm kind of looking at this and just kind of mentally in my mind saying, okay, I need to not put glue on this section, otherwise it kind of tries to glue down into the, where we've popped up, and then it makes it not look very good. So I need this bottom section with glue on it. So I'm just putting like little baby dots of glue through here. And I got these off of Amazon, and I basically just took that liquid glue you saw me using before, and I just stuck them in this so that it gives me a really fine tip to play with. And I have to be fairly quick because I'm not putting too much glue. It tends to dry really quickly. So we're gonna just take this little fence post and put that along that bottom edge right there. All right, and then on the inside, that's what I needed this for because I forgot to grab this a second ago. You guys are gonna get to see me design the inside because I didn't even think about the inside of this card. I was so worried about getting the outside done. So I'm gonna cut a 4 1/8 mat by 5 3/8 that is gonna go, oops, did I do that wrong? 1, 2, 3, no, that's right, all right. I'm not used to having quite that much. Then we're going to stick this on the inside, and then we're going to grab a piece of basic white, and we're going to design the inside of this card real quick. All right, so I'm just going to lay this down. And I think I'm just going to kind of carry, oh, I wanted to show you this. So this edge, sometimes when you do this, you have an edge that is, I don't know if you guys can see the edge here. So I'm just going to trim that. But I try to get everything on the front before I trim that, just so we don't have some pieces like sticking off. So there you go. So that got trimmed there. All right, so then I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna, we'll just do a really quick, where's my little ducks? What did I do? Oh, I put them up. All right, so let me grab my ducks back, because I didn't think I was gonna need them, so I put them away, not realizing I hadn't done the inside of this card. Okay, so again, we're just gonna do this really quick. Just ink this up. And we're gonna stamp them down in this corner. Clean this off. You guys have to watch me color again really quick, but I'll make it fast. And you could just leave it like the sketch, right? You could leave it and make it look like a sketch, but I don't want to do that. So you guys are just going to have to watch me color again. Okay, so again, we're just going to come in with our blends. And you'll see I do kind of this flicking motion. That just kind of helps me to like get it covered the way I want it covered. Okay, and then we're going to bring in the gray. And color this. So I hope I'm giving you guys some ideas of how to take this free set and use it with some of the sets that you already have to make some really fun designs. Because we have had, I know some of you have the, you know, a lot of stamp sets that have trees and like an outdoor vibe to them. And obviously, you know, these ducks and then the fox that you're going to see in the next one work really well with that type of a background. Okay, and then what do I want on the inside? So I think I need to pull, okay, so let's pull this other one here. May joy fill your, so the front says Merry Christmas, and the inside, again, we're just going to use black Memento ink. And I don't have my graph paper, but we'll try to get this centered. Okay, may joy fill your heart this season. And then we're gonna stick this on the inside. Again, you could add embellishments to this. I'm just trying to give you guys some ideas on how to use this Stylish Sketches set. And I am using the diorama dies on both this card and the next card. Sorry, I got some glue there. All right, so what do you think? Do you guys like it? Is it a good way to combine your little free set with like the Christmas barn set? Do you see how fun that is? And then again, this free paper, right? So it says, Merry Christmas to you and yours. May the joy fill your heart this season. So there you go. All right, so let's move on to our next card, which is also going to be our last card. And for this card, again, we've got a white card base. And I used the Christmas barn set again, but I'm gonna show you how I colored in this little fox. So I used Cajun Craze because I wanted him to be a red fox. And so this is where I was telling you that you can kind of take some of this where they've already kind of given you some highlighted areas, and you just come in with the darker blend and just kind of fill some of that in just to give it a little bit of texture and dynamic. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad you guys like that. All right, so now I'm just coming in with the light. So with our blends, if you're not familiar with our blends, it's the same color, but there's a dark and a light. And the idea is to saturate this paper so that it causes the light and the dark to blend together. So what I'm going to do, I can see his little back leg here, so I actually want to kind of make that darker, just so it sticks out a little bit more. And so as you color with these blends and you go over, they actually start blending together. And so it's not as, like, you can see how stark that is when I just kind of put that darker color in there. But when you come in with the lighter color, it just kind of, and again, it's not about how hard you push, it's about how much basically ink that you get out here. And so you just kind of keep going over it until it blends the way that you want it to blend. That's the whole point of how this works. It's about the saturation and getting it to blend together through that. So do you see how it just kind of blended all that together? Now it will dry, but you can go over this as much as you want. You can come back in with the dark if you don't like the way that it colored it in. Okay, so there's my fox. Little red fox, yay! Okay, so again, we're gonna do some fussy cutting here. These did not have dies that came with them. But you guys can see it's really not that hard to fussy cut. And trust me, if I'm saying it's not hard, it's not that hard, because I absolutely hate cutting anything by hand. And so if I can do it, anybody can do this. Okay, so again, I'm just kind of, I don't want to get rid of all those little swirly things. I like those. It's part of what makes this look like a sketch. So I'm leaving all of that. All right, so it cuts out like so. Whew. All right, so then again, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna fold this down. Oh, if I can find my bone folder. This is what we call bone folders. Stampin' Ups are just kind of a vanilla color. And we just use these to what we call burnish the edges. Yeah, I agree, Brenda. The colors do look better once they dry. Absolutely, I agree with that. Okay, so what I did this time was I took a piece of basic white and I stamped these trees from that Christmas barn set, and then I cut them out with the dies. That way I can kind of build my background. I just dropped something I think I'm gonna need. Where did it go? Oh my goodness, I saw it drop, but now I don't know where it went. I know what it was. I think it was the ribbon. So I may have to go grab some ribbon in just a hot second, because I am not seeing it on the floor here beside me. It's probably stuck to me somewhere. That's usually what happens. But it is kind of a glittery, glittery. So, okay, so this time what I'm gonna do, I use the textured chic paper. It has like this Christmas look. So again, I'm gonna, and the one thing that you wanna always do is you want the smaller opening to be in the back and the larger opening to be in the front, because that's what makes the dynamic. But again, I'm going to kind of move this around. That kind of is too matchy-matchy. So I'm going to do this. But what I wanted to do with this is, I know this is going to be on the front, and I'm going to actually open this up. But for me to be able to get the placement of my trees, I kind of need to know where my opening is going to be. So I'm just going to kind of lay this in place, and then I'm going to start kind of laying some of these trees, or gluing some of these trees in there. Because, you know, it wouldn't do me any good to glue all these trees down and then not even be able to see them. So I'm just going to kind of take this one, and it's going to pretty much be right there. See how that works? And then I can kind of come back, and yes, I can still see that tree. And that's what I wanted. So it's mainly the ones on the edges, except I moved this bottom, which I didn't want to do, that you need to be careful of with that. And then I went it. So I did these both in soft succulent and the evening evergreen. So it gave me two different shades there. Now, if you don't have or can't afford to get both of the colors, you could stamp it in the evening evergreen full ink and then stamp off, and it wouldn't quite be the soft succulent, but it would be a different shade. That's one of the tricks that you can do, you know, with any of your colors, with your reds, your greens. You can help yourself to have some different shades by just stamping off before you stamp again. Okay, then I want to come in with this tree. And that one's going to be kind of at the same level as that one. And then I need one more tree over here. I think I want it to be a darker tree. Whoa, don't turn over. Whew, I almost turned that over and got glue all over my workspace. All right, so this tree I want to, you know what, this tree I wanted to put on last, and I'll show you why. So hopefully that glue will stay. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down. You can see the other side of this has like metallic shiny on it, but this is the textured chic designer series paper. This is the one piece in it that's kind of Christmassy, so that's why I chose this one to use for this. Okay, so I'm going to come in and stick that down, but not stick it down all the way. And then I need this little tree here. It's still sticky, yay, because I kind of want that one to go, I didn't want it to go behind this one. I wanted it to kind of stick out a little bit here and kind of sit on top of this piece. All right, so there's that so far. And so then, yeah, I've got to go grab, excuse me one quick second while I go get some more ribbon, because I know it's probably stuck to me somewhere. So this is our white organdy glitter ribbon. And so what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to tie a bow with it. So you guys get to see my bow maker once again. Hopefully I have shown you guys this enough that you are getting the hang of how to use this. Okay, so you're going to start, I'm going to do a small bow, so I'm working with these two legs. If I did a big bow, these would be, this leg and this leg is kind of like the whole thing, and then this is the center. But because I'm working with these two legs, when I talk about the center, I'm talking about right here. So you start here, you wrap this around both legs, and then you're going to feed it through the center. And then bring it around the bottom center. And then you're going to tie. think one of my dogs just came to visit me. I'm here. I hope it's one of my dogs. I'm hearing something. All right, so then you're just going to pull that bow tight and then pull that off. And then what I wanted to do with this, no, I didn't get that quite tight. Hold on. What happened there? All right, so then what I wanted to do with this is, again, I have to figure out is that that's the way I want it. So in this corner down here, I want to kind of attach this bow so that it's like at a diagonal here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in some glue dots and my take your pick tool. Make sure I'm working on the right corner. And I'm just gonna put a glue dot right here and a glue dot right here. All right, then I'm going to take my bow and I'm just gonna put this around so that it catches that glue dot, and I'll be trimming some of this off, obviously. I just need it to barely catch the glue dots. Actually, that glue dot wasn't quite where I needed it to be. So let me lay it down a little different. Nope. All right, let me see where I needed that glue dot. Oh yeah, it was, that's right. Oh, I just barely missed the spot. I'm actually gonna pull this one off because I'm gonna be using dimension. Well, you know what, that's okay. I can make sure I put a dimensional right over the top of that. I just needed that moved over just a bit to make my ribbon be at the angle that I wanted it. There we go. All right, and then I'm just going to trim off that ribbon. All right, and then here we go with the dimensionals again. So we're gonna pop this over, and bear with me as I load it up again. But remember, I said I knew I had that glue dot right there, so I got to make sure I put a dimensional to cover that. Otherwise, that glue dot might want to try to stick down to this piece down here. I'll see if I can get away with not putting quite as many dimensionals on this one, because I think it'll still work. The main reason that you would like a lot of dimensionals is if you're going to try to send it through the post office, it has to go through that rolly thing. And when it does that, if you don't have enough dimensionals, then sometimes they squish down and some of your edges won't like pop back up once it goes through that little system of theirs. So we're just going to add a bunch of dimensionals to make sure it stays secure. And so then again, I'm going to come in and I am going to cut a couple of these on this edge here because I want to fill in one right there, one right there, and one right there. Okay, so then let's get these things popped off of here. This is hard with that bow on the other side. It's not letting me grab stuff here. So basically I'm just taking the paper off the top of this. So do any of you guys have any questions on any of the techniques that I showed you? I'm going to show you a really fun thing, so stay tuned. I'm going to show you how to use these pearlized enamel effects because I don't think you guys have done it before. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. You're going to fall in love with these things once you see what you can do with them. All right. So then we're going to take this And we're gonna lay this down. These dimensionals are like super sticky. Gonna get that bottom edge and hopefully it'll lay down straight. Okay, so we're gonna lay that down like so. Oh, see? Do you see what happened right there? I didn't put a dimensional underneath there. And so it's trying to lay down flat. And I don't think I can stick. Yeah, I bet I can. Hold on. We're going to stick just a little tiny piece under there. So yeah, because I didn't put one in this section, it tried to lay down on me. All right, there we go. Now it's going to stay up. You guys probably couldn't see it on the camera, but I could definitely see it. All right, so it looks like we got that all nice and straight. Okay, so then what I did was I went ahead and I stamped It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, and I did my embossing buddy on here, and then I put Versamark ink, and I put white embossing powder, and then I heated that up. Again, I didn't want to do that on the screen because it does get rather loud. So let me just, and I just kind of do a little bit of curviness down here, just to give it some, you know, it's kind of a straight sentiment, but by just kind of moving it back and forth, I gave it a little bit of a wave down there at the bottom. On the top, you're going to get kind of some natural waves as you're going through some of like the F's and the L's and the D's that have, you know, part of the letter that sticks up higher than the rest. But at the bottom, it was kind of, you know, the stamp was kind of straight, so I made it do the wave. All right, so this is going to be the same as the last one. We're going to stick it up here, maybe. And so I think we're going to go right here. So I'm going to need glue on this side, and I'm going to need thin dimensionals on this side. So let me grab my mini dimensional sheets. Oh, goodness. Everything's sticking together tonight. Okay, so I'm just going to cut me some really thin strips here. Okay. I had to look at where the wording was, and so I'm just going to put those strips just along this edge, and then this very end I'm going to put liquid glue on. So I'm going to bring in that liquid glue and just put a few drops right here. Oops, that was probably more than I needed. Ah, don't do that. All right. So then we're going to grab this. Boy, everything is trying to stick to me tonight. Magnetic personality tonight I must have. Oh no, don't stick there. Oh, excuse me guys, sorry. Hopefully that did not interrupt anything. I usually have my phone turned off, and it for some reason was not turned off. Okay, so then that's going to sit up there like that. Then we're going to bring in our fox. Now, I didn't like that this was just kind of the gray, so I wanted to come in and I wanted to just kind of color this a little bit with the dark soft succulent, just to make it kind of blend in a little bit more here. So I want my fox to be here. So I'm going to need a dimensional here and here. We're almost to the enamel things. I can't wait to show them to you. They're so much fun. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of glue on his tail and down here at the bottom. Pull these two off. And then we're going to set him on here like so. And then right here, it's got this really cool little stamp set that kind of makes it look like either rocks, or I think it looks more like footprints in the snow. And so I'm going to bring in some basic gray. Going to ink that up, and we're going to stick that right there so that it looks like kind of a trail up through the trees in the snow. Okay, so I need to do the inside of the card really quick just because I'm going to show you these pearlized enamel. I'm going to show you two ways to do this. The way I'm going to show you, the front has to dry a little bit, but then I'm going to show you how to do it another way where you wouldn't have to let it dry. So two ways to do this. So let me finish the inside of this card. Oh, there's that ribbon that I lost. I knew it was here somewhere. All right, so let's, we're just gonna have the Evening Evergreen Matte on the inside. So that's just gonna be there. And then we're going to bring in another piece of basic white. And we're gonna take one of our trees here and we're gonna glue it down here. Because I think I stamped, I think like 7 trees, and I went ahead and cut them all out. And so I just wanted to go ahead and use this one here. And then I'm going to bring back in that Merry Christmas stamp that I used on the other card. And again, the Evening Evergreen. And we're going to just stamp our sentiment. Let me get these trees out of the way. All right, let me try to get this lined up. Yay! And then we're gonna play a real quick second. I know I've gone over my hour mark, but I think you guys are gonna like this next little thing. Alrighty. Again, these are all little things that you can add on so that it helps you get to your $50 purchase, so that you can get either that paper I showed on the last card or this stamp set that I've been focused on or highlighting today. All right, so these are the pearlized enamel effects. They come in red, black, and white. I'm going to use the white. And the way these work is you can actually make, sorry, I don't know why that is. Oh, that's because it went over the top. Okay. You can, if you're not comfortable freehanding this, I'll show you another way to do it. I'm going to try to get a little bit closer so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So basically the way this works is you're just going to kind of, let me get it all the way to the end. You're going to squeeze it and you're going to basically form your embellishment. Can you see what it does? So it actually is just making these little, putting these little embellishments, and you can make them big or you can make them a little bit smaller. So you can make your own size of embellishments to fit whatever project you're working on. Okay, so I want to show these to you. Now this has to dry, but can you guys see those? Isn't that fun and cool? So I was able to do that directly on the card. Now I do have to set this card to the side and let it dry, but I want to show you another way that I've done it is I have actually put it on my silicone mat, and then I have gotten an old case that had some of the other embellishments in it. And this I did early this morning. And so now I can actually just, and I think I'll use the spatula side. So let me switch this to the spatula side. And now I'm basically just going to kind of pick these up and I'm going to stick them in here. Because once they're dry, you can just put them in this little case and then they're ready. You would have to either glue them down with liquid glue. If you make them big enough, you can put glue dots on the back of them. And so basically you can see how I'm just picking them up and see how they're solid now and they just move around in here. So that's how you use these pearlized enamel effects. Is you can make, you could make a heart with it, and you just let it dry. Again, I like my silicone mat. You know what? I'm going to turn that over only because I need to wash off my, and actually I think it would just be easier. I can just bend my silicone mat and they're going to come off. So another use for the silicone mat, but see how they're just coming off and they're just going in this little case. So I'm not good with hearts, but I will try to show you how you can kind of do a heart real quick. Obviously it would have to sit here and dry, but see how when you use the silicone mat, they come right off and you've got all your little embellishments. So let's see if I can do a heart, because I'm not an artiste. But you could also make, if you're really good, you can make snowflakes with these. All sorts of things. So let me just see if I can. Ta-da! There's my heart. So now I just have to let that dry, and then when it's dry, it's going to pop right off, and that's something that I can put onto a card. What do you guys think? Okay, these are called, and they're called the pearlized enamel effects, and we've got black, red, and white. So another really fun thing that's in the mini catalog that you probably overlooked. Let me just shut this up. But then, like I said, I just make these little cases and stick them in those cases. And yeah, so this I'm just going to set to the side so it can dry. And it takes a little while to dry. It's something that I would probably sit and make a bunch of and then just kind of set it to the side and maybe either use it, do that in the morning and then use it at night. But yeah. Okay, so let's bring our cards back in. Okay, so this is one I did ahead of time that I basically took these off and glued them on here. I didn't want to bring back in the one that's drying. All right, and then here's this card. And then here's this card. Oh, I guess I need to, whoops, other way. Let me see if I can get the camera to go. Oh my goodness, okay. There we go. All right, guys. So there's my 3 cards made with mainly, right, the, what'd I do with it? So I wanted to show you different ways to use stylish sketches. And of course I brought in the Christmas barn for these 2, and then the Hello Harvest for this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope I gave you some ideas that make you kind of look at that free set a little bit differently. And again, it's the stylish sketches, and it is free with a $50 purchase. And then the Hello Harvest bundle is right there for you. If you want to write those numbers down or take a screenshot. And then the Christmas barn bundle. And then I did use the layering diorama dies for these 2 cards here. And of course I brought in a lot of other stuff too, but anyway, guys, I hope you like the cards. I hope I gave you some ideas on how to use this set. And I mean, it's free, right? It's a free set, so it's fun to play with those types of sets. Again, as usual, I love that you guys joined me. I'm glad you guys were here, and I hope everybody has a great week. Don't forget, for those of you that are in the Farmington, New Mexico area, I do have classes. I am going to be putting my kits together tonight, so if you have not told me you want to come and you're on here and you would like to attend one of my classes, please let me know. There is a $10 fee, and we do 3 cards, and you obviously with the envelopes. in the class, and it's all the way from beginner to advanced. So anyway, guys, have a great night. And again, don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, all of that good stuff to help me get more time on social media. So again, guys, thank you so much. Everybody have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.